Hi guys, hope you're all doing good and hope your preparation is going on track. Today in News in 30 minutes, let us look at some of the important issues on 16th of December 2023. If you have any suggestions regarding any changes that we have to make into News in 30 minutes, please do post in the comment section. We will take in the feedbacks and try to inculcate whatever changes we have to do. Okay, with that, let us get on with the important issues on the 16th of December 2023. The first issue is again a very proud moment for India, that is the DRDO successfully tests a stealth combat drone called GHATAK in a flight trial. Okay, what is the specialty? As you can look at this is an unmanned aerial vehicle. Okay, and as you can see, this is using something called flying wing technology. Okay, so this is a proud moment because we are one amongst a very few countries that are in this club of having an UAV. Okay, having a UAV that uses flying wing technology. Okay, and that is what is known as GHATAK. Okay, so let us learn a little bit in detail of what this GHATAK is all about. Okay, so if I have to talk about the features of this GHATAK, it is India's stealth combat drone. That is one. Okay, the next is it is indigenously developed completely by DRDO. That is another good Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. And as I told you, it is an unmanned aerial vehicle. And the last is it uses something called flying wing technology. Okay, it uses something called flying wing technology. Now, what is flying wing technology? Flying wing technology is nothing but it gives an operational advantage because it has low reflective cross section. Okay, it has low reflective cross section. Using this technology, the drones will have low reflective cross section, and this low reflective cross sections will result in low radar signature. Okay, it will give you low radar signature. That is, the unmanned aerial vehicles need not come in the attention of enemy's radar. That is the advantage of having this flying wing technology. So because it has low radar signature, why? Because it has a low reflective cross section. That is the reason it makes the entire technology stealth. Stealth is you don't come under the attention of enemy's radars. Okay, now radars work on reflective properties of radio waves. So if there is low reflective cross section, that means that the reflective property of the radio waves are reduced. If the reflective properties of radio waves are reduced, obviously it will have a low radar signature. If there is a low radar signature, obviously it becomes very good for stealth reconnaissance as well as stealth combat, and that is the specialty of GHATAK. Okay, another specialty of GHATAK is nothing but autonomous landing and takeoff. It does autonomous landing and takeoff. The reason it can do such precise takeoff and landing is because of what we call as the GAGAN technology that is used in this UAV. What is GAGAN technology? As you have heard, it is GPS aided geo augmented navigation. So basically it increases the accuracy of the navigation by several it increases by several scales. Okay, it makes navigation more precise, it makes navigation more accurate, and it preserves the integrity of the data that is used in navigation. So this is the advantage of using the GPS aided geo augmented navigation. So any type of small errors that we see in the GPS, the errors are brought down to almost zero, and that is the use of GAGAN technology. And with the help of this GAGAN technology, we are able to come up with a feature called autonomous landing. Okay, so this is the overall feature of GHATAK, that is India's stealth combat drone, which is an indigenous flying wing technology used unmanned aerial vehicle. Again, this is something of a proud moment for India because India is developing self-sufficiency as well as self-reliance, especially when it comes to the defense and defense equipments as well as such combat such combat drones as well. Okay, so this is the first issue. Let us go to the next issue. The next issue is regarding India's pharmaceutical sector. We say that India is the largest exporter. India is the largest exporter of generic medicines. India is the largest exporter of vaccines all around the world. India is known as the pharmaceutical capital of the world. Okay, all these are good things about India. But today I am going to introduce you about the bad side or the neglected ugly truth about the Indian pharmaceutical sector. This is something that we should not overlook. These are something that are happening continuously. However, we tend to turn a blind eye just because it casts a shadow negatively in India's pharmaceutical sector. Okay, and that bad shadow is the truth pill that India needs to swallow. So basically, Indian drug makers have come under fire for poor quality. The punishment for making substandard medicine should be harsh so that it deters such malpractice. Okay, what is that we are talking about? Why is it that I am criticizing the pharmaceutical sector of India that has done so tremendously well in recent times? Is because of the first reason, the first and the foremost reason. I am going to give you different instances which shows the truth pill about the substandard drugs that are being produced in India and supplied all over the world. The first is the Indian cough syrup. The Indian cough syrups. These cough syrups resulted in several children's deaths. It resulted in several children's deaths in the countries like Gambia, in the countries like Cameroon and Uzbekistan. Okay, this is a very, very bad news. Okay, Indian cough syrups caused children's death in Gambia, Cameroon. These are two African countries, West African countries, and Uzbekistan is a Central Asian country. Okay, the second is the Center for Drug Standard Control Organization. The Center for Drug Standard Control Organization has recently found that 54 firms are manufacturing substandard cough syrup. Okay, they are manufacturing substandard cough syrup. Okay, that is another bad news. Okay, another bad news or the ugly side is in 2019 in the state of in the Union Territory of Jammu. Okay, there was children who died because of drinking a cough syrup called Cold Best. They died because of the cough syrup called Cold Best. When this cough syrup was tested, they found that within this cough syrup there was something called diethylene glycol. There was something called diethylene glycol. Okay, now unfortunately this diethylene glycol is an industrial solvent. It is an industrial solvent. Okay, and it is used in antifreeze and braking fluids in automobiles. Okay, it is used in braking fluids in automobiles. Now look at this. This is banned in several countries, but it is still used, okay, in the cough syrups, especially this. Now this again casts a very bad, initiative or a very bad shadow on India's pharmaceutical sector. Okay. Now the next initiative is CIPLA, which is very famous in India. This CIPLA, in this November, it received a notice from the USA's Federal Drug Administration. It received that it received a notice from USA's Federal Drug Administration that the country's drug manufacturing facility, in Indore, actually violates the good manufacturing practices or good manufacturing principles. Okay, it violates the good manufacturing practices. So this is another news that shows that India's drug manufacturing is relatively substandard. And finally, we have to also refer to the Mashelkar committee. Okay, Mashelkar committee that was set up in 2003. This Mashelkar committee of 2003 had told that there is wide-ranging national concerns about spurious, counterfeit. Okay, there is wide-ranging concerns about spurious, counterfeit and substandard drugs in India. Okay, so these are some of the evidences that justifies that we have to take up a lot of initiative to improve the standards of drugs produced in India. Now to just give you a summary of the different justifications. The first is Indian cough syrup recently resulted in children's death in Gambia, Cameroon and Uzbekistan. The second is the Center for Drug Standards Control Organization flagged 54 firms for producing substandard cough syrup. In 2019, Jammu, children's were the children died because they consumed a cough syrup called Cold Best, which constituted diethylene glycol, which actually is banned in several nations, and it is actually an industrial solvent used for antifreeze and braking fluids. However, this was found in the cough syrup. The next is the Cipla has received a notice in the month of November from USA's Federal Drug Administration telling that its drug manufacturing facility does not meet the good manufacturing practices standards. And we come back to the Mashelkar's committee's report, which says that in India there is wide-ranging, spurious, counterfeit and substandard drugs that are produced. Now all this points out to the ugly truth that we have to create an architecture that not only monitors, but also there is a proper feedback mechanism, and also there is a deterrent, like a punitive measure that should work. All the three should work regarding the drug manufacturing done in India. This is very, very important. Okay, so this is what is the way forward. Now if this architecture has to be built in a very robust manner that takes care of monitoring, feedback and punitive measures, if this has to happen, then we have to now review the overarching legislation called Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Okay, it is a colonial act which has not been reviewed, though there has been amendments that are made constantly, though few recommendations of the committees that were set up is included within this particular Drugs and Cosmetics Act. It is time in order to address the core issues like addressing the fixed dosage combinations, like quality assurance problem, okay, or like punitive measures, or as I told you, creating an architecture that handles monitoring, that handles feedback and that handles a punitive measure that acts as a deterrence for the substandard drug manufacturing. If all this has to come, we have to review this Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. So that is what is the takeaway from this article. So this is an article that shows the ugly side of Indian pharmaceutical sector. Now this is about the mains angle. The prelims angle is they can ask you diethylene glycol, which is called as DEG. If this, they can just ask diethylene glycol is a term recently seen in news regarding which context. So they can ask you 4 different contexts and ask you what is this diethylene glycol. Plastics, plastic industries, pharmaceutical industries or automobile industries, they can ask you different ways. So that is one. The second is they can ask you the architecture within Drug and Cosmetics Act, that is what is this Central Drug Standard Control Organization, who is this Directorate of Health Services and what is their role in this act, who are the Drug Controller General of India. Okay, Drug Controller General of India. In a few days back, I have actually discussed the entire architecture of this Drug and Cosmetics Act. So I think you can find those things there. However, these are some knowledge that you should have from prelims angle. Okay, what is this Central Drug Standards Control Organization? Who is this Directorate of Health Services, and what is this Drug Control General of India, and what is the main function of this Drug Control General of India? So these are some clarity that you should have regarding the working of the Indian pharmaceutical sector and the regulatory framework that actually controls the standards of the drug manufacturing in India. All right, so this is the next issue, and I hope you got a clarity on this issue. Okay, the next issue is regarding the turtles in India, So as I'll read it out, the battle to bring freshwater turtles back from the brink. So basically they're talking about the Indian turtles. Conservationists and government departments are fighting against all odds to prevent the smuggling of turtles within and outside the country. The challenge is not just to prevent the illegal trade of turtles, some of which are endangered as pets and for meat, but also to rehabilitate the recovered and anti-trafficking operations. Okay, now why is this coming? Is recently they have found that the Gangetic turtles was being smuggled, and the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence was able to intercept and stop the smuggling of Gangetic turtles. And by trying to seize this smuggling activity from happening, this particular incident has come to light of such vast network in India that is involved in smuggling of turtles. It may not be always olive ridley turtles, it is also freshwater turtles that are Gangetic turtles. Okay, now before I get into the Gangetic turtles as such, let me just give you a background with respect to in the context of India. India is considered as the world's turtle hotspots. Okay, it is considered as the world's turtle hotspots. Okay, why? Because we have 29 species. We have 29 species of tortoises, and freshwater turtles. We have 29 species of tortoises and freshwater turtles. So one question, one food for thought for all the students watching the initiative is, please tell me the difference in the comment section, the difference between a tortoise and a turtle. How is a tortoise different from a turtle? Please mention in the comment section. Now coming back, with respect to India, India is known as one of the world's turtle hotspots. We have 29 species of tortoises and freshwater turtles, and amongst them in the Ganga river itself, we have 13 different species of turtles. Okay, so that is what is the background. Now, if you take Gangetic turtles, these are different turtles that are present in the rivers of Ganga and its tributaries. Mainly, you find these Gangetic turtles in Ganga, in Gomti, and in Yamuna. So these are the three important rivers where mainly Gangetic turtles are found. Okay, now 5 very important Gangetic turtles can constitute different species, and 5 important species which constitutes Gangetic turtle are: one is Indian tent turtles, the second is Indian flapshell turtle, the third is crown river turtles, the next is black spotted pond turtle, and the last is brown roofed turtle. Okay, brown roofed turtle. So these are broadly the 5 different species of Gangetic turtles that are very important. Indian tent turtles are least concern according to IUCN. Indian flapshell turtles are vulnerable according to IUCN status. Crown river turtles are basically endangered. They are endangered according to IUCN status. Black spotted or pond turtles are also endangered according to IUCN status, and the brown roofed turtle is near threatened. According to IUCN. So overall, these are some of the Gangetic turtles. Okay, now these turtles are not only protected according to IUCN's red list, but they are also part of the appendix in CITES. Okay, Convention on Trade of Endangered Species, Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species. They are also listed in the appendix 2 of this CITES also. Along with this, if you take the Gangetic turtles are also given protection under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, these turtles are put in both Schedule 1 as well as Schedule 2. Depending upon their threat level, they are housed both in Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. So overall, this is what is the Gangetic turtle status, and overall they are part of India's turtle hotspots. Okay, so we have 29 species overall in India. Amongst them, 13 are present in Ganga itself. So I hope you got the background of what the turtles are and what is happening. All right. Now coming back, these Gangetic turtles were actually being smuggled, which was seized by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Now, if you want to know why they are being smuggled, one, as you know, that they are seen as a delicacy during winters. They are seen as a delicacy during winters. That's the first point. The second point is because they have, or they seem to be believed that they have medicinal properties. Okay. For example, in India, there is a community called Kanjar. There is a community called Kanjar. They say that by consuming these turtles, you will have curing tuberculosis disease. So this is another superstitious belief that the Indian community has. However, more of such demand comes from China as well as Southeast Asian nations. Okay, more demand comes from China and Southeast Asian nations, believing that they have medicinal properties. Okay, the last is they are also sought after pet. Okay, so because of these three reasons, one is delicacy, medicinal properties, as well as pet, there is more demand from Southeast Asia and China, and because of this, Kolkata is becoming an important transit area for smuggling of these Gangetic turtles as well as other wildlife also towards Eastern Asian countries. Okay, that is, it can be Southeast Asia, it can be China. So all these nations, the important transit is Kolkata. Okay, so this is the background about the smuggling activities done in the country. Now, also from prelims perspective, you should know who are this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Now, this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence is an apex anti-smuggling. It is an apex anti-smuggling intelligence agency. Okay, it's an anti-smuggling intelligence agency. That is the first point. The second is officers from Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Officers from Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. They are the ones who will handle this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. The third is obviously then it comes under Ministry of Finance. Okay, so this is the background about Director of Revenue Intelligence. So we understood this Directorate of Revenue Intelligence seized the smuggling of Gangetic turtles through Kolkata to Southeast Asia and China. Why? Because it is seen as a delicacy, medicinal property, as well as it is considered as a pet. However, India is considered as the world's turtle hotspots because we have 29 species of tortoises and turtles. In Ganga, individually there is 13 species. If you take Gangetic turtles, there are broadly 5 different types. Indian tent turtle, that is least concern. Indian flagship turtles, that is vulnerable. Crown river turtles, that is endangered. Black spotted pond turtles, that are endangered. And brown roof turtles, that are near threatened. They are not only protected under IUCN, they are also protected under the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, and also they are protected under WPA, that's Wildlife Protection Act 1972, under which it comes under some come under Schedule 1 and some come under Schedule 2. Now, why is it very important that we have to study this is MOEFCC unfortunately has reduced, or it is cut down, what we call as Habitat Restoration Fund. It has cut down what we call as Habitat Restoration Fund. It has cut this down, Habitat Restoration Fund, by 67% in the last 5 years. That is huge. Okay, it has cut down almost 67% in the last 5 years. So from 165 crore, this was given in 2018-19 to it has now come down to 56 crore in 2022-23. Now this shows that much of focus is not given to wildlife protection, especially the habitat restoration, which has played a very critical role in India's past. Today we have huge amount of tiger population, huge amount of elephant population, huge amount of Great Indian bustard. If we have restored the Great Indian bustard, all these things, if we have restored the snow leopard, everything has played the reason why we are able to have such healthy populations because of the Habitat Restoration Fund. If you take crocodiles, even they are restored. So like this, if you take vultures, even they are restored. So all these wildlife are able to be restored because of the Habitat Restoration Fund. So unfortunately, this Habitat Restoration Fund is reduced by 67% in the last 5 years, which signifies apathy of the government towards wildlife restoration as well as wildlife protection. This should not be the case, and we have to make sure that if not more, it has to be brought to parity of what was there in 2018 and 19. So that is the conclusion of what has to happen regarding the wildlife protection. The last concept of the day is a time honored connect that will help bridge the Gulf. Okay, Oman, we are talking mainly about Oman, or this article is mainly talking about Oman. Oman has played a pivotal role in India seeking deeper engagement and collaboration with West Asia. Okay, so the reason why this article is coming is because the King of Oman is coming to India on a visit. So that shows what is the importance of India and Oman relationship. Okay, so if we have to take the India and Oman relationship, let us now understand from both prelims, mainly prelims, because prelims is coming nearby, mainly prelims, what is the important perspectives that you should know of India and Oman relationship. However, this is important for mains also, but both the scenario, I will try to give the importance from both the scenario. One, the bilateral trade. One is the bilateral trade between India and Oman has reached up to 12 billion or around 12 billion in the financial year 2022-23. That's the first point. The second is Oman is the closest neighbor to India. Oman is the closest neighbor to India from the Arabian Gulf. So in the Arabian Gulf, you have Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain and Kuwait. Amongst all these nations of Arabian Gulf, the closest neighbor with respect to proximity is Oman. Okay, that is the second point. The third is India and Oman signed strategic partnership agreement. We signed the strategic partnership agreement during 2008. That is the third point. The fourth is Oman is the first Gulf country. Oman is the first Gulf country with which all three wings of Indian Defence Forces. It is the first Gulf country with which all three wings of Indian Defence Forces have created joint exercises. We take the Navy, the Armed Forces as well as the Air Force. All the three wings of Indian Defence Forces have had joint forces, and if amongst the 12 nations, it was Oman that was the first one that had this collaboration. The next is India has also taken up something called Operation Sankalp. India has also taken up Operation Sankalp, which is nothing but Indian Navy trying to give safety and security. Indian Navy trying to give safety and security in Persian Gulf as well as the Gulf of Oman. So in both these places, Indian Navy is trying to give safety and security under the operation called Operation Sankalp. The sixth one is Dukum Port. This Dukum Port is in Oman, which has been given as a security cooperation to India. So basically, India can use it for security cooperation. That is, Indian Navy can use it for security cooperation, and they'll also provide basic facilities to Indian Navy. So that is what is Dukum Port. The next is the seventh point is, if you take India with respect to Oman, India is the second largest market. India is the second largest market to Oman after China. So basically it transports oil. Crude oil is the main trade. So after China, India is the second largest market with respect to crude oil. Comparing it is the second largest market after China with respect to crude oil. So for Oman, India also becomes very, very important. The next is in 2022, India launched RuPay debit card. India launched the RuPay debit card in Oman as a means of promoting digital public infrastructure. As you know, our digital public infrastructure was praised, as well as it was given a very well noticed appreciation in our G20 that happened recently in New Delhi, and our digital public infrastructure is very, very famous, and this promotion happened in 2022 in Oman. The ninth one is, we have also signed a joint exploration. We have also signed a joint exploration for rare earth elements. Okay, we have also signed the joint exploration for rare earth elements. As you know, India is assigned 30 minerals as critical minerals, and amongst them most of them are rare earth elements, and these rare earth elements play a very important role in electronics sector. So this collaboration again shows India's importance with Oman if we have to proceed with our critical minerals as well as electronic sector growth as well as semiconductor growth. The next important collaboration is IMEC. IMEC was a concept that was conceptualized in G20 presidency of 2023 in India. So IMEC is India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor. Now if this corridor has to be a reality, then Oman plays a very important role, because Oman comes in a critical junction. It comes in a critical junction that links two corridors, that is the East Corridor and the North Corridor. If the East and North Corridor, which are the subparts of IMEC, if these two act to be linked, then in between comes a critical junction, and that is Oman. As you know, East Corridor is something that links India with the Gulf, and the North Corridor links Gulf with Europe. Now, if India and the Gulf with Europe, if there has to be a critical link, the critical link goes to Oman. So hence, for IMEC corridor also, the India-Oman relationship becomes important. And the last is the SAGE project. The SAGE project is nothing but South Asia Gas Enterprise. Okay, there is South Asia Gas Enterprise. Now, what is the South Asia Gas Enterprise? It is nothing but 1,400 kilometers of deep sea pipeline. 1,400 kilometers of deep sea pipeline from Oman to India, and this pipeline is mainly used for the transfer of natural gas. Okay, so that is what is South Asia Gas Enterprise. So all these reasons shows that India-Oman relationship is very, very critical, not only for India but also for Oman, but to the overall relationship of India with West Asia. So Oman, why is Oman very important is because if our Act West Asia is to be successful, then Oman plays a critical role. One more important aspect of Oman is a member of all the three important organizations. You have GCC, you have Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and then you also have Arab League. Okay, so you have GCC, OIC and Arab League. So if we have to have a very good and healthy relationship with West Asia, Oman is a door for us to knock on and enter in the good books of West Asia. Alright, so that is the conclusion of this. So just to summarize the importance of India-Oman relationship once again, the first is the bilateral trade of almost 12 billion in 2022-23. Oman is the closest neighbor when it comes to Arabian Gulf. This is geographically speaking also with respect to proximity. The next is India-Oman signed a strategic partnership in 2008. And it was the first Gulf center or first Gulf country to have all the three wings of Indian Defence Forces to have joint exercises done, that is Indian Army, Indian Navy as well as Indian Air Force. The next is the Operation Sankalp of Indian Navy that provides safety and security in Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. Then there was Dukum Port that was given to India for security cooperation for Indian Navy, which provides basic facilities for Indian Navy when it is parked there. The next is India is the second largest market after China for Oman, because it is a market for Oman's crude oil. And in 2022, India launched RuPay debit card as a part of India's promotion of digital public infrastructure, which is again a positive scenario for India's promotion of its Indian stack, that is digital public infrastructure. The next is India and Oman have signed a joint exploration of rare earth elements. Rare earth elements becoming very, very important for the electronic sector and the growth of semiconductor industries, especially in India. And the next is IMEC corridor, where Oman plays a critical role if we have to be successful in creating the East Corridor and North Corridor together, which is known as the India Middle East Economic Corridor. And the last is the South Asian Gas Enterprise, which is nothing but a 1,400 kilometer of deep sea pipeline that connects Oman to India, where the natural gas is transported. And this again lies on the relationship between India and Oman. So to conclude, you know that India and Oman's relationship becomes very important if Act Asia has to be successful, and also Oman is important because it is part of the three regional cooperation, that is GCC, OIC and Arab League, that is the Gulf Cooperation Council, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League. So overall, this is the Indian relationship with Oman. So I hope you liked today's issues, and I hope you are making the notes of everything. So if you have loved the video, please make sure that you don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Please make sure that you share these videos with as many people as possible, so that one, they can make good use of it, and two, there can be more views that can incentivize me to do this on a regular basis. With that, thank you so much for all the love and support, guys. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.